Die Fahne hoch mit Mut voran, marschieren die Preußen Mann, Mann, es gibt niemanden auf der Welt.
Welcome to Nationalist Book Reviews. This channel is dedicated to uncovering and reviewing the books that the modern world wants you to forget, works that defend European identity, national pride, cultural heritage, and the unapologetic truth about our history and our people. Here, we examine the books that helped shape nationalist consciousness and European identity, the ones mainstream historians either ignore or actively try to bury. Today, we are diving into a deeply revealing and significant account of the inner circle of the Third Reich, Nicolaus von Below, at Hitler's side. This memoir offers a rare first-hand glimpse into the life of a loyal officer who stood beside Hitler from 1937 until the bitter end, witnessing the rise, the war, and the collapse of the National Socialist Party from the inside. In an era where historical narratives are often distorted or suppressed, von Below's account stands as a vital, unfiltered primary source. It provides an authentic look at the leadership, their decisions, and their struggles, all seen through the eyes of a man who was a sincere participant in the National Socialist inner workings. Today, we analyze this important document to appreciate the lived reality of that era and gain a deeper understanding of the historical forces at play. So who was Nicolaus von Below? To understand the value of this memoir, one must first understand the man behind the pen. Nicolaus von Below was a career soldier, a dedicated professional airman who lived the reality of the National Socialist era through the lens of duty and military service. Von Below's journey into the highest echelons of power began in April 1928, when, after being initially rejected for infantry service due to slight myopia, he was accepted into the German military through the influence of his uncle, the former General de Infanterie Otto von Below. His early career was defined by the technical and tactical rigors of the Luftwaffe. He underwent specialized training at the German Commercial Flying School and was among the elite group sent to Lipetsk in the Soviet Union for fighter pilot training. By 1933, he had transferred to the newly forming Luftwaffe, gaining essential experience in fighter squadrons and serving as an adjutant to various commanders. However, his life changed fundamentally on the 15th of June 1937, following the death of Hitler's previous Luftwaffe Adjutant, Captain Matthias. Von Below was summoned to the Reich Air Ministry. There, he was offered the position that would define his life, Luftwaffe Adjutant to the Führer. When presented with the post, von Below was met with a crucial condition from Hermann Goering. He had to be a follower, heart and soul, and serve from innermost conviction. For von Below, this was a matter of oath of unconditional loyalty and obedience, which he had taken in 1934. He accepted the appointment, stepping to a role that would see him standing at Hitler's side from 1937 through the final apocalyptic days in the bunker in 1945. He was an intelligent professional officer who functioned as a vital liaison between the Führer and the Luftwaffe High Command. While he was not a member of the political inner circle, his proximity to Hitler gave him an unparalleled vantage point. He was a man who flew to battlefields to gather first-hand reports, an eyewitness to the most decisive military decisions of the 20th century, and a constant presence within the High Command throughout the war. It is this unique position as a sincere professional soldier caught in the center of world-changing storm that makes his perspective so indispensable. Now let's move on to the historical context. To read at Hitler's side without grasping the historical landscape is to miss the true gravity of von Below's testimony. This is not a historical abstract theories of distant battles. It is a first-hand account of the systematic collapse of European order and the rise of a movement that fundamentally altered the course of the 20th century. The context of this memoir spans a period marked by rapid rearmament, aggressive diplomacy, and increasingly brazen military campaigns. Von Below provides a window into the high-stakes environment where professional military planning often clashed with the ideological and personal whims of the party leadership. The early chapters of the memoir reflect a period where the German military was being swiftly expanded under the guise of rebuilding national strength. The narrative underscores a critical tension, the friction between the expertise of the General Staff and the leading decisions of Hitler and the party leadership. Von Below provides a window into the corridor question and the manipulation of the Treaty of Versailles, not as a mere political debate, but as the deliberate triggers used to lead Germany toward an inevitable conflict with Poland, Britain, and France. As the campaigns unfold, from Poland to France and then to the Soviet Union, the context shifts from rapid conquest to brutal struggle for survival. The memoir emphasizes a fatal flaw in the party's strategic planning, the inability to manage a multi-front war. Early military successes are contrasted with shortages, logistical failures, and the overwhelming industrial capacity of the Allied powers. Von Below exposes the widening gap between the Führer's miracle expectations and the harsh reality of the war. The later part of the memoir takes place against a backdrop of systematic disintegration. The total war environment erodes the distinction between front and home, as relentless Allied strategic bombing devastates cities and industries. Von Below witnesses the transition from planned expansion to frantic improvisation, where the party's leadership, having lost the capacity for decisive victory, clings to control through desperate and technological miracles, such as the Me-262 jet. This is the stark reality of the world torn apart by conflict, seen through the eyes of a man who was present at every pivotal and often tragic turn of the tide. It is an account of a nation's fall from power. Now let's look into the core observation. The content of At Hitler's Side provides exceptional insight into the inner workings of high-level military and political decision-making during a pivotal era. To truly understand its significance, one must look past the complex and often dark subject matter and focus on the unique first-hand account that von Below offers. His observations serve as a rare and invaluable window into the operational realities of wartime leadership. The most striking positive aspect of the text is the sheer proximity of the author to the center of decision-making. Von Below was not a distant observer or a historian looking back through a lens of bias. He was a constant presence at the heart of strategy and daily operations. His memoir provides an intimate, granular view of the decision-making process at the high levels of the party and military leadership. For those seeking to understand how high-level military strategy is actually discussed, debated, and executed, this book is an indispensable resource. Despite the turbulent times, von Below offers a clear and disciplined account of the professional military culture. It provides detailed insights into the daily routine of an adjutant, the logistical complexities of moving headquarters, FHQ, and the technical realities of the Luftwaffe. His ability to recount technical data, ranging from aircraft performance to the specifics of flak batteries, adds a layer of credibility that elevates the book from a mere memoir to a serious military record. The memoir offers a rare, intimate glimpse into the personalities of the era's most influential figures. Von Below describes their temperaments, habits, and ways of interacting, private arguments, sudden inspirations, and stresses and strains of the command, painting a nuanced portrait of leadership. This psychological depth is essential for a comprehensive understanding of the period and humanizes the figures, often seen only through their historical actions. For the military historian, the memoir functions as a detailed record of rapid technological and organizational change. From the early expansion of the Luftwaffe to the development of jet aircraft like the Me-262, von Below documents the evolution of warfare in real time. His accounts of plans such as Weserübung Norway, Barbarossa Russia, and Seelower Sea Lion reveal both the strategic intentions and logistical challenges that shaped the course of the war. A key strength of von Below's record is his straightforward and sincere approach. He does not attempt to sanitize his experiences or portray himself as a hero. Instead, he provides a thoughtful record of his efforts to understand and navigate a rapidly changing world. Now, looking into the rhetorical analysis, a document of this magnitude requires more than just interesting facts. It requires a delivery method that can sustain the weight of its history. In At Hitler's Side, Nicolaus von Below employs a rhetorical style that prioritizes clarity, technical precision, and objective distance. Von Below's most effective rhetorical tool is his use of granular technical detail. Rather than relying on vague adjectives to describe the scale of operations, he utilizes specific terminology, referring aircraft models, Me-262, the Ju-88 and the He-177, specific military units, and precise geographical locations. This technical density functions as a rhetorical anchor. It builds immediate credibility with the reader. One of the most compelling aspects of von Below's prose is his commitment to a professional tone. He writes with the detached, observant eye of a career officer. This rhetorical distance is a deliberate and effective choice. By avoiding overt sentimentality or hyperbolic language, he allows the facts of the situation to speak for themselves. This restraint creates a sense of unfiltered truth. The reader is not being told how to feel about an event, but is instead being presented with the mechanics of how it occurred. This objective stance makes the more intense moments of the narrative even more impactful because they are not preceded by forced emotional cues. The document is structured with rigorous chronological discipline. Von Below uses the passage of time, not just as a framework, but as a driver of tension. The transition from the daily routine of peacetime to the stresses and strains of global conflict is handled through a logical step-by-step progression. The narrative cohesion allows the reader to follow the complex evolution of the German military machine with clarity. A unique rhetorical element found in the text is the way von Below describes his own role as a sounding board during Hitler's dictations and situation conferences. Finally, the text succeeds because of the perceived sincerity of the author's voice. Von Below's prose is characterized by a lack of pretension. He does not attempt to obscure his own limitations or the complexities of his position. This transparency acts as a rhetorical force of persuasion. By being honest about the unpleasantness and the confusion of his surroundings, he earns the reader's trust. The result is a narrative that feels authentic, making the historical insights it provides feel earned rather than manufactured. Now let's move on to key passages and quotes. As we delve into von Below's memoir, certain passages stand out for their vivid imagery and candid reflection. They help us understand the extraordinary narrative of these pivotal years and the mindset that drove the German war effort. Let's first look at how Hitler's presence and early successes fostered a sense of unstoppable destiny among his staff and the German people. In Chapter 1, von Below recalls how Hitler launched into a comprehensive lecture after the victory over Poland. He notes, and I quote, "The victory over Poland had changed the world's opinion of Germany. The great majority of neutral states trembled before us." End quote. This quote vividly illustrates how the swift and decisive early military victories created a psychological impact. They were used to foster a sense of resurgence, pride, and a belief that Germany's rise was inevitable and unstoppable on the world stage. Further in the same chapter, von Below observes that even the high staff on the Western Front, who would later face grave challenges, initially shared in this confidence. He emphasizes Hitler's magnetic leadership during these triumphs. And I quote, "Hitler exuded calmness and certainty. Doubt simply did not enter into it." End quote. This unwavering certainty from the Führer had a stabilizing effect on his subordinates, creating an aura of invincibility that seemed to guarantee victory. Moving into Chapter 3, von Below highlights Hitler's role in shaping the morale of the military's future leadership. On 29th of April, he records, and I quote, "Hitler addressed 9,000 Wehrmacht senior cadets awaiting commissions. He described the war success to date, lauded the bravery of the German soldier, and demanded of his listeners never to capitulate." End quote. This moment underscores Hitler's relentless ideological framing, emphasizing unwavering resolve and a firm commitment to total victory. His words aimed to instill a sense of duty and an unbreakable spirit in the next generation of military leaders. Von Below also reflects on Hitler's grand vision for Germany and the intense sense of duty that motivated party members and the nation alike. He notes how Hitler spoke of the decisive hours of the war. And I quote, "He spoke of the decisive hours of this war and the necessity for the German people to maintain their backbone and steadiness." End quote. This quote encapsulates the total war mindset, an idea that the entire nation was unified by a singular existential purpose, to persevere at all costs. Von Below highlights Hitler's belief in divine providence. He reflects on Hitler's own words, expressing an almost religious conviction. I quote, "The blood spilled in this war will be, this is our hope, the last in Europe for generations. May the Lord God help us therein in the coming year." End quote. This shows how Hitler's ideology included the conviction that Germany's struggle was divinely sanctioned, a destiny that, in his view, was destined to succeed through divine support. In his memoir, von Below vividly describes the astonishing early days of the German campaign. He writes, and I quote, "The first 4 to 5 days of this campaign have been more successful than the Führer, army, or Luftwaffe could have dreamed. Everywhere our bombers have been uncannily successful against the enemy air forces and armies. The enemy air force is already down to 60% of his starting numbers. Our massed motorized units have not been attacked at all. The crossings and bridgeheads on the Meuse were quickly secured." End quote. This account captures the incredible speed and overwhelming power of the German blitzkrieg. It creates a sense of unstoppable momentum, air superiority combined with rapid advances. However, as von Below's memoir unfolds, this picture shifts dramatically. The initial triumphs soon gave way to the harsh truths of prolonged warfare. The early successes, while spectacular, did not guarantee early victory. Instead, they masked the emerging difficulties that would soon surface. Von Below highlights how strategic vulnerabilities grew from failures in aircraft production, especially the problematic HE-177 bomber, which was not produced in sufficient numbers. This compounded the strategic weaknesses of the German war effort. The very confidence and optimism that fueled those first days would be challenged by the brutal realities of a war of attrition, where internal mismanagement and relentless Allied resistance would ultimately turn the tide against Germany. These contrasting moments, initial success followed by inevitable hardship, reminds us of harsh realities of war. Von Below's account underscores that even the most spectacular early gains can be overshadowed by the unforgiving realities of a long, drawn-out conflict. Throughout his memoir, von Below emphasizes his commitment to truth and impartiality. He states, and I quote, "I have attempted to remain uninfluenced by other witnesses and the flood of inaccurate literature concerning those times." End quote. This declaration highlights the value of his first-hand proximity, his direct experience at Hitler's side, and his pursuit of an unvarnished professional truth. It reassures us that his account is rooted in authenticity and personal insight, making it an invaluable resource for understanding the pivotal period in history. In sum, these passages reveal how Hitler's charismatic confidence, combined with early military victories and a grand ideological vision, fostered a powerful invincibility, one that would shape the course of history. Now let's look into the critical evaluation of this work. When we elevate a document of this magnitude, we aren't just looking for a story, we are looking for its unique utility and its raw historical power. What makes At Hitler's Side so exceptional is its unfiltered proximity. Most stories of the Third Reich are written from the outside looking in, based on intercepted cables, diplomatic reports, or second-hand accounts. Von Below, however, provides the internal logic of the party. He doesn't just tell us what happened, he shows us the atmosphere, the decision-making process, and the strange, sinister twilight world in which the National Socialist leadership operated. This is an intimate, high-level view that few other primary sources can match. Furthermore, we must evaluate the intellectual honesty of the author. Von Below does not present himself as a hero or a saint. The value of his text lies in its unparalleled detail. From the technical specifics of the Luftwaffe operations to the minute human details of Hitler's daily routine and temperament, von Below captures the machinery of the Axis in motion. In short, the critical value of his memoir is that it bridges the gap between military history and psychological insight. It is a rare, indispensable window into the highest levels of power during the most decisive era of the 20th century. In concluding my review, I want to highlight the many strengths that make At Hitler's Side a truly valuable and engaging historical document. One of the aspects I appreciated most was how meticulously the book is chronologically ordered. Its structure allows the reader to follow the unfolding events seamlessly, gaining a clear understanding of the progression of the war and Hitler's decisions at each stage. I also found the technical details particularly fascinating. Von Below's first-hand descriptions of military campaigns, aircraft specifications, and strategic operations add a richness to the narrative that is often missing in more superficial histories. His insights into Luftwaffe operations and the inner workings of the German military machine provide a depth that is both enlightening and compelling. What sets this memoir apart is von Below's willingness to reveal specific truths about what he witnessed and experienced. His candidness about internal struggles, leadership dynamics, and the realities of war offers a rare, unvarnished perspective. It's this honesty that makes the account so powerful and trustworthy. Overall, I would rate this book an 8.9 out of 10. It is a well-crafted, detailed, and revealing account that provides valuable insights into one of history's most turbulent periods. For anyone interested in military history, leadership, or the inner life of the Third Reich's military leadership, this memoir is an indispensable read. Get a copy, read it, pass it on. In an age that wants us to forget, books like this keep the truth alive. Thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this review. In my next video, I'll be exploring a new book. If you enjoy this kind of content, please leave a like or a comment below, and make sure to subscribe for more. Stay safe and see you on the next video.
Die Fahne hoch mit Mut voran marschieren die Preußen und machen Mann, es gibt niemanden auf der Welt.